Being in a relationship with an ADHD partner can have some incredible benefits. I don't think there's anyone more fun to be around than an ADHDer. Then again, I may be a little bit biased about that. But it's important to learn about how an ADHDer's brain works in order to create the best relationship possible. So I'm going to break down the 7 things that you need to know to create a successful relationship with someone with ADHD. If you're new, I'm Chris. I help fellow ultra-normal brains focus, grow, and get stuff done. So, I get it. It can be easy to simply think that the elephant in the room in an ADHD relationship is the ADHD. That's the cause of all the issues, the reasons why we're late, the reasons why the car payment wasn't made, the reason why trash day was missed twice in a row. But I want you to take a second to think about what happens when you blame the ADHD about the problems in the relationship. Think about what it tells the partner with ADHD. It tells them that they're the problem. If you blame ADHD for the problems in a relationship, then you're saying to your partner and to yourself, there's a problem here, and that problem is the incurable developmental disorder that you have. It's super disempowering for you and your partner because it stops you looking for the solutions to the challenges that so many relationships face, not just ADHD relationships. So the first thing that I would say is to start to look at it as you and your partner versus the challenges, rather than you versus your partner or you versus ADHD. And when you start to do that, then you can start to think more like a team. Think about your favorite sports team. For example, soccer. Some players are defenders and they defend the goal. Some are strikers and they score the goals. Now, imagine if the strikers turn around to the defenders and say, hey, I'm scoring the goals here. You just simply stand back there. We need to both be scoring goals. The entire team dynamic is going to shift and it's going to weaken the team overall. And that's all because of the limited idea that you both need to be doing the exact same thing. Everybody's brain is different, so let's act that way. When you start to shift your focus onto what people's strengths are and creating a good environment and systems for you both, then you can play to those strengths. ADHDers have a lot of strengths. We have a very, very creative streak. We have problem-solving skills. We can connect 2 things together that most people can't. We are great when there's a crisis, when things change very quickly. We are very dynamic. We can actually have an incredible attention to detail, looking over things that are not our own creation. So as a second perspective, we can be very, very good. And we can hyper-focus on things that we find interesting. When there's something that captures our attention, we can get more stuff done than anyone else. So that's why it's so crucial to lean into those strengths rather than focus on challenges. But as with any team, it's important to grow together, to learn the complex dance of how your strengths interact. Therefore, it's important as a partner to an ADHDer to have patience and understanding. No relationship is worked through in one conversation. No problem is solved in one sitting. There's a book by someone called Tom Hartman, and the book is called ADHD, A Hunter in a Farmer's World. In that book, it points out the difference between the hunter mind and the farmer mind. You think back to the Stone Age, and hunters were the king of the pack, right? They went out and they had very dynamic attention. They were very good when there was a crisis. They were very dynamic and very quick to think. Whereas then there's farmers who take their time. They're very slow paced. They are patient, and they work on sort of long-term solutions. In the book, Tom Hartman talks about how ADHDers are hunters and neurotypical people are the farmers. So if you are a neurotypical partner to an ADHDer, then lean into your strength of patience. Rome wasn't built in a day. It's really important to understand that there needs to be multiple conversations. There needs to be systems that are iterated on and built upon that work to the dynamic between you both as individuals. And as a farmer in a relationship, then it's really important to start to think long-term. And that means that as things sometimes fall through the cracks, it's really important that you don't just simply take over and do the thing for the ADHD. And this is really crucial. If there's a task that needs to be done, don't do it for someone with ADHD. I get it. You want to get things done. You want the chores done, the tasks done, the appointments set, and to take over and do it yourself seems like the reliable way to just make sure it gets done, just to do it yourself. It can seem like the only option. But what that does is that creates an environment where you end up doing the thing on top of all the other things that you are supposed to be doing. And as a result of that, the ADHD becomes even less likely to do it next time because you're taking away the opportunity for them to build that new habit inside their brain. So it's actually quite disempowering to the ADHD if you simply just do the thing for them. For example, if you simply tidy up because it needs to be done, it can actually lead to a worse situation for an ADHD partner because, for example, we work very visually, and tidying up a set of car keys may end up meaning that we forget to take the car to the garage. In the sort of sports analogy, it's trying to be everywhere on the pitch at once to make sure goals are always being scored, and it actually dismantles the team dynamic. So instead of that, there are lots of different options you can take. You can share the task and do it together, or if it's something that's just the ADHD partner's responsibility, then you can help to craft an environment that sets them up for success. Take the time to go through together to figure out a calendar that works on their energy level, or split the tasks up into smaller tasks to make it easier to start. Whatever it takes in order to help work with both your brains in order to make sure that everything is being done. So make sure you involve your partner in creating those systems together rather than taking it over yourself. In order to do that, communication really is key. Creating a safe environment to talk about things. This is what's known as emotional safety. So creating emotional safety to let your partner know that it's okay to talk about things because things will be worked through. Not doing things like nagging. And again, with that, I can understand it can seem like repeating the same thing over and over to remind an ADHD is kind of the way to hack their brain into doing the thing. But there's a big difference between nagging and simply asking for what you want. You know, for example, think about it this way. There's a big difference between, hey, are you going to take the trash out? Do it before you forget again. And hey, it's 7:05. I think that's the time that we put on the calendar to put the trash out. Are you still good to do that? You see, the first one is focused more on the person and their ability. The second example is focused on the system. So once you switch your focus to the system and not the person, it's much easier to get things solved. And again, things are not going to be solved in one conversation. So make sure you're continuing to use your farming skills in order to make the changes. I'll be making more videos on how to handle conversations, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel for new videos that are coming out every single week. So as you remove the nagging, then you can replace it with encouragement. So instead of punishing, replace that punishment with encouragement. The worst environment for ADHDers is one of shouting, name calling, blaming, etc. Nothing is going to create a worse environment than that. And you know, you can't control what other people do. You can still take responsibility for the environment that you contribute to in the relationship. That's something that is within your control. You know, as ADHDers, we have lower levels of dopamine in our brain. That's the reward system chemical, which means that usually we're running on a deficit of dopamine. And if you want the best out of an ADHDer, we love positive encouragement. So that doesn't mean that you have to shower us with praise and fake adulation, but instead of, hey, you didn't tidy away the dishes, what's wrong with you? That can be replaced with, hey, it seems like last week our chore system worked. This week there seems to be some stuff that's maybe slipping the net, like the dishes, for example. What do you think we need to do to keep it at that level for this week? You see, the second option encourages communication. It points to solutions rather than blame. It encourages more of the behavior that you want to see rather than punishing behavior that you don't want to see. And it also encourages the ADHDer to keep looking at those systems and the environment too. So it creates that more of that team effort. But the one thing you need to avoid as a partner of an ADHDer is not get into the habit of acting like a parent towards your partner. It's a really toxic cycle that's really difficult to get out. I break the whole cycle down in this video right here. I'll see you over there.